Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the program Business Time. This is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is Kumwembe. In the program today, we look at the performance of FDH Bank on the Malawi Stock Exchange as it hits the 2.1 trillion kwacha market capitalization. And also in the program, we examine last week's decision by the Reserve Bank of Malawi's Monetary Policy Committee to maintain its policy rate at 26%. What does this mean to the local economy and businesses at large? We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time. In our main story in the program today, FDH Bank has become the second most valued commercial bank on the Malawi Stock Exchange, having had its market capitalization hitting 2.1 trillion kwacha. This is coming just 5 years after the bank was listed on the local bourse. What does this mean and what does the future hold for the bank, which plans to expand its footprint beyond Malawi? These are some of the questions I asked Noel Nkuliji, who is the managing director of FDH Bank.
Firstly, I must mention that it's quite exciting to be here and report on this milestone that FDH has actually attained. This entails the trust, the ability that the trust that the customers have in the bank, and as well as the agility, as well as the sustained growth that FDH Bank is going through. And it is actually based on 4 strategic pillars. We believe in customer focus, we believe in operational efficiency, we believe in people development, our own staff. We also believe in continuous development, continuous innovation. So with that, we believe that's why we have, within 5 years after listing, we have attained the 2 trillion capitalization mark. And just to mention that FDH Bank happens to be the second bank that is listed on the bourse that has attained that mark.
This is coming at the back of a cautionary statement that the bank issued not so long ago, where you advise both stakeholders and other players in the industry of the intent of expanding the bank's visibility beyond the borders of Malawi. Could we say the performance is rallied on this statement?
It is part of the process. Part of the process in the sense that after noting that we are doing everything possible within the Malawian market, we thought we needed to also find ourselves, find our footprint within the region, and that's why we're actually expanding to indeed, some place within the southern region.
What does that entail to, number one, performance of the bank itself, number 2, positioning of the players in the banking industry as far as competition is concerned?
That is just a reflection that indeed, despite having started operations much later than possibly the other banks, this bank has taken certain route that ensures that we satisfy the customers. And as a result of that, that's why we thought it is necessary that we also expand our operations into the neighboring countries so that the other countries can also appreciate what FDH Bank can offer.
All this is happening at a time there is some level of volatility on the local economy. And looking at your books, I think the bank has been one of the most resilient players, both in the financial sector as well as in the private sector at large. One would still wonder to say, what explains the level of resilience?
The level of resilience is explained from the strategies that we've adopted, whereby we first of all have to understand what the customer wants. And from there, we're able to respond either digitally or indeed from the services that we offer, or indeed the kind of turnaround time that we've put in place to ensure that the customers are satisfied with what we are offering.
We are slightly above a month into the year 2025. Firstly, how's the year started and what are the prospects for the remainder of the year?
You may recall that during the first part of this month, the month of January, we had to issue another statement stating what profits we're expecting. We are talking of a range of 72 to 75 billion Malawi kwacha. That is just a sign that indeed the bank is well positioned to offer the best services to the customers, but at the same time ensuring that those customers have the experience that is needed to ensure that they enjoy in whatever products that we are offering. The prospects for this year appear to be, it's quite mixed because of the issues of the economy, the way it is performing. But at the same time, we believe because of the resilience that we have, we should be able to, find ourselves in a position where we are offering the best to the bank.
If asked, what would be your take-home message to shareholders, number one, and on the other side, customers, because these are key players in as far as success and progress of the bank is concerned?
That is true. One thing that you need to understand is this is a bank that is able to offer the best returns to the shareholder. A very good example is the kind of dividends that we offered last year. We're talking of over 28 billion that was offered. And we believe that this year it will be, relatively higher than possibly what we offered last year. But this is just a sign that we would want to ensure that our shareholders have the best return, and we can only do so by offering them, the best services, the best cost-cutting measures that we have put in place, or ensure to make sure that at the end of the day, we have the best return, which will in turn be offered to the shareholders. Believably, this should also be, something that we are going to offer to the banking public, and we are requesting the banking public to also, come into this bank and have a share of the shares that are, floating on the stock exchange.
Last but not the least, any last words?
Yes, we would want to encourage the banking public that this is a bank that is digitally led, but at the same time it's a local bank that a lot of people have seen that it is able to offer the best returns. A very good example is what I've indicated about the dividends that we are able to offer. We have actually last year modernized our core banking system just to ensure that we offer the best services to our customers. And we wanted to assure our customers that we will continue that process. We are there to listen to them. We are there to appreciate what they want. And from there, we're able to put in strategies that will ensure that we improve the services that we offer to those customers.
Now, last week, the Reserve Bank of Malawi's Monetary Policy Committee announced to have maintained the policy rate at 26%. The policy rate is the rate at which commercial banks use when borrowing from the central bank as lender of last resort. According to Reserve Bank of Malawi Governor, this is largely attributed to a possible deceleration of inflation beyond the coming few months. Our journalist Kumwembe Mangazi caught up with the Reserve Bank of Malawi Governor McDonald Mafuta Male for an insight.
We decided to maintain the policy rate at 26%, largely because of what we are seeing in terms of the inflation outlook. Obviously, our monetary policy looks at the expected movements in the inflation rate, and we have very good indications that in 2025, inflation will moderate to lower levels compared to in 2024. So 25 is being seen as a better year than 2024 in terms of production. So at that point, that's why we hope that probably if that will be achieved, then there is going to be a room, or it will create that space for us to consider a drop in the policy rate. But as of now, we are looking in front to see what are the prospects. Is inflation likely to go up or go down in 2025? And the answer is it is likely to go down, looking at the productive capacity that is expected. So therefore, it is expected that that alone could probably give us room to reduce the policy rate then in future, not now. We haven't played much with those other instruments, largely because what we did that time to increase the liquidity reserve requirement, we noted what was the impact, and indeed if we maintain that level of liquidity reserve requirement, it is also likely to reduce the money supply by the same quantum, which is enough to maintain the policy, to maintain the inflation at the rate at which we are. For example, I think that kind of move last year managed to reduce the money supply by around 46 billion, which was what was expected, and indeed that is what we're expecting if we maintain the same. So in terms of managing money supply, that move was enough, and we're expecting that if it continue, it will help us to continue reducing the money supply, which then has an effect of trying to reduce the inflation even as we go beyond 2025. In this case, it has to be a balancing act. Obviously, as a country, we also have to look at our production units, trying to see how we can enhance their capacities, because it is not only this demand side of the equation that we have to work to, we also have to see how we can induce the supply. So the issue is, can we balance up? If we increase the policy rate now, what will be the impact on the production units? Now, we want those units to produce, to supply to the market. The more they supply, the increased supply will have an effect on the inflation rate that we are targeting. So we thought probably that could not be a right move as of now. The benefits of doing that could actually be outweighed by the negative effects on our production units, which are the manufacturing companies that normally borrow money for that exercise. In that case, if we were to increase above the inflation as you are asking, the impact is likely going to be a little bit distortionary, a little bit difficult for the production units, the same people, the same institutions that we want to produce for this economy to move forward.
Remember, you're watching Business Time. It is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. We'll be right back. And when we get back, among other things, we look at prospects for macadamia nuts as a main contributor to the growth of the country's agriculture sector and also the export value for Malawi. Welcome back. This is Business Time. It is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And moving on with the program, the value of the macadamia nuts sector is projected to more than double this year to about $54.5 billion US from $21.6 billion in 2024, thanks to good weather as well as prospects for a very good market for the year 2025 and beyond. Journalist Kumwembe has the whole story in this report.
The data reveals a steady expansion in production area, with land under macadamia cultivation set to increase from 12.5 thousand hectares in 2024 to 21.5 thousand hectares by 2033. This is expected to culminate in an increase in production to 18.69 metric tons of shelled nuts from 10.16 metric tons recorded last year. Furthermore, the sector is projected to create substantial employment opportunities. Job numbers are expected to grow from 18.8 thousand positions in 2024 to 32.36 positions, representing an addition of 13.5 thousand new jobs over the decade. Dimitri Giannakis is chairman for the Malawi Macadamia Association.
Well, the first issue that I hope came across in the presentation is the huge potential that macadamia has for Malawi. And anybody interested in growing it. So that's the first point, to say that we have a very bright future globally selling Malawian macadamia nuts. The second very important point that brings us all together is to say that what is the risk or what is the threats to this industry? And it is what I described. There is theft and there is criminal activity around the theft that could cause us huge problems in growing the industry. So we thought we'd bring everybody together, and all the stakeholders play a role in the industry. Some of them are less aware of it than others. So we said, let's make them very aware that their role is very important in macadamia, and each of them, if they play it, we won't have the problem that we're having with theft and crime related to macadamia. Well, you saw that already the macadamia industry is employing 18,000 people. If you fast forward that and project our growth at the rate at which we're growing, and we might grow faster, we end up at being an employer of 35,000 people, which is it's a very positive thing. Add to that we are exporting at the moment about $30 million worth of macadamia. If you fast forward, we get to $60 and $70 million of macadamia. That's coming in the next 10 years. So that is a huge contribution to our economy in terms of foreign currency, and that is Malawi creating wealth. Of course, we export that, and it comes back in terms of investments and salaries and into our economy. So it's a great opportunity for us to grow the industry in Malawi and to generate more exports and value, grow value in Malawi.
Minister of Agriculture Sam Kawale highlighted a significant shift in the industry's ownership structure.
We have the responsibility of developing the agriculture sector, where we're increasing production not just for food sufficiency but also for wealth creation, as well as generate the much needed forex. Now, within the Ministry of Agriculture, the macadamia sector is one of the most lucrative sectors or subsectors that needs to be developed and protected, because the amount of money that we can generate per hectare in macadamia is big. It can even be bigger than what we are managing to generate in the tobacco industry. Now, this meeting today, we are engaging the Macadamia Association of Malawi, where different growers have come together to explain to us some of the challenges that they are facing. Currently, we are adding approximately 1,000 hectares on a yearly basis of macadamia being planted. But as the macadamias are maturing, because people have realized the high value of the crop that is currently there, a lot of people are now going to steal from these farmers. And by stealing the nuts in macadamia farmers, it is depriving our investors the much needed revenue, because macadamia is one of the crops that requires a lot of investment. So there's a lot of theft that is happening, which is disrupting production, is disrupting the income generated by the farmers, and in the end, it is also depriving the country from getting the much needed forex. So we want to understand exactly what is happening in those farms, and at the same time provide solutions together so that we can have different stakeholders work together to make sure that the macadamia industry is well protected. So the different ministries that are currently participating in this meeting, they all have a role to play. to protect the macadamia industry, but also the agriculture sector in general.
This is coming at a time Malawi is looking to diversify the agriculture sector to increase export earnings.
Now, in other business news, the Malawi Revenue Authority has formally launched its electronic customs services system in a bid to ensure seamless provision of services to taxpayers. We have the whole story in this report filed by Lueleni Mpasa.
DACA highlighted the system is designed to reduce delays in custom clearance, allowing businesses to operate with increased speed and certainty.
Most of the tools that we've been using have been manual. Among them is the tariff book. Huge, voluminous, and not easy to find what you are looking for as a taxpayer. Now we are at the stage where, while we are doing a lot of digitalization and innovation, we have just launched the e-tariff book, which is to us a major achievement. And we are so grateful to the relevant development partners that assisted us to come up with the e-tariff book. With regard to performance, what I can say is that this is not a new year, because the financial year started in April 2024 and it ends in March on 31st. So far, I would say that since April, if you look at the records, we have been growing the revenues consistently and more. And the outlook is that when we commence the new financial year, with the strategies and measures that we'll put in place, we are going to do more.
Board member John Kamanga commended the authority's digitization efforts, noting that the electronic system is expected to simplify the previously complex tariff schedules.
In fact, the e-tariff is one of the tools which actually has helped the customs officials as well as the taxpayers in terms of classification of goods, and in so doing they're able actually to determine in terms of the rates which they are going to pay. So in so doing also, it also helps in terms of facilitating or seamless trading of actual activities, because one, it saves time, and also it is efficiency to the extent that at least you are able to classify the type of goods and the type of rate which is actually going to apply. In so doing, you are able to facilitate or also to calculate in terms of the appropriate tax or the customs duty which you are going to pay. And so doing, it also helps you in terms of reducing the time actually you are going actually to take, because in the past we used to have actually what we call the customs print book, which actually I would say it was quite voluminous. But in this case, with the e-tariff, you are able to search on your own, and also it also helps in terms of inclusivity, because what would happen is that you can pay your tariff at any time without even visiting actually the Msonko building. So in so doing, it also saves you time in terms of actually the e-payment using the e-tariff system which has been launched today. In fact, within the MRA, in terms of the organogram, we have the whole department which looks at modernization. So in terms of modernization, we're looking actually trying to go digitally in terms of most of our operations which we have. I think you have heard about the ASCUDA, we have heard about the e-tariff system, and more all these other activities or initiatives which have been put in place actually with the aim of actually going digitally friendly, such that at least we reduce in terms of actually the time taken. In so doing, we have actually process efficiency is improved at the MRA in terms of customs as well as tax administration.
Dumbani Kalua, President of the Clearing and Forwarding Agents Association of Malawi, expressed optimism about the benefits for all stakeholders involved in the trade.
This is a very welcome direct innovation. This e-tariff is a step in the right direction in terms of moving the country forward. This is what we call access to information. Importers, clearing agents are now going to have the information that customs has. So this is going to make our job easier. It's going to make life for the importers easier and exporters as well. It's just something that we're very, very excited about.
The International Customs Day 2025 was observed under the theme Customs Delivering on its Commitment to Efficiency, Security and Prosperity.
Well, that story brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Thanks for watching, but always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.